Hi everyone, xin chào mọi người. I am Dung Tran. I am the web developer. Sorry. I started working from 2008, and I work with Erlang, NodeJS, Angular, and Elixir. Yeah. So currently I work with these languages. But the language I work mostly is Erlang. Now I switch up to use Elixir and try to upgrade the Erlang to run with the Elixir because I found like with Elixir it's helped me a lot. Example like when I try to build up a backend to support the REST API, it will very quick if you use Elixir. Like simple, like you just using the install the Elixir, the mix command, and then you can just type something like mix generation. Then it can generate for you like controller, like the live view, like whole of object project. So you can like go there and check what you need to do in that. So it's quite easy. Example, another one is the WebSocket. If I'm using the Erlang to set up a WebSocket, I use Cowboy, but it takes me a lot of time to how to handle the messages and how to send message to the other client side, receive the message, then anything. But with the Phoenix, it's helped a lot. Like I can just install the project and then I set up the WebSocket, and they have a WebSocket there with the example what you need to do in full the document what you want in that file. So all you do is just like handle your state. Like when you receive the message in, what you do and when you and what you will send back to the client. So it's quite quick, and I think I can develop that is 1 or 2 days for setup with all thing for Phoenix. And then we have issue with the real-time bar, which one is run with the Angular, and it takes a lot of time. Like when we set up the timer, the bar seems like frozen, and because we have a table, each row have the timer to update the time on that row. So when it's on tick, a lot of timer running, and the browser seem like cause a lot of memory usage in CPU. So we found another way, like instead of using the client side, we switch to use the server side. So that's why I investigate how to use LiveView. So I just take a LiveView in few weeks, just like investigation, and then report that to my customer. So I found it quite interesting and fun to play with LiveView, and you can easily build the like real-time app because it's build everything for you like WebSocket. If you already implement the front end and the back end to communicate with the WebSocket with different languages, so you have to the backend team to set up the WebSocket server, and the client you have something like Angular or React to set up the WebSocket connection, and thing like you have to manage the communication between them. Like when they drop, what happened? You have to manage like turn off to the long pooling. So it's like you take two team like sorry. Okay, yeah, not yet. Okay. Oh. I did that. Yeah. It's just first page. Yeah. So today I just share you what I learned from LiveView in just I think in 1 month. I try to collect all things I know for that, but so I don't work it much. After our investigation, I have to quit to do another thing. So I just work with that with like 1 month, and when I present, I try to set up a simple application with what I learned from LiveView. So I try today to share you what we should do with LiveView, and it's quite a long time. Like a lot of years that I not do presentation. So if today I have any like pronouns incorrectly, I still now know it. So please forgive me. And if you have any question, after you can raise your hands and ask me. I will try to answer that in what I learned from the live view. Yeah. So now we start. So I try to make this quick because I had just in few weeks to do with that, so try to make it quick. So did the Phoenix LiveView, and the app that I try to build a simple weather page. First, this is all thing we go through, like what is Phoenix LiveView, how we start the Weather LiveView app, project structure, what you need to do. I need to understand the server side, the feature of LiveView support you for server side and the client side. Even this is the server render, but we still need the JavaScript because browser just understand the JavaScript. And the final is the reassemble of LiveView Dashboard, where you can get it from when you install the Phoenix. It has the LiveView Dashboard there. You can go through that to see all things that the Phoenix team built up for that. And this is cool. Yeah. So Phoenix LiveView is quite young. It's in the first release on GitHub in 2019 by Chris McCall. This is the real-time server render HTML. It's using the WebSocket to update anything changed. The WebSocket will notify and the UI will render just the thing that it changed. You can understand it like something like Ajax. When you want just update one thing in page, you don't need to reload all the page. So the WebSocket here will handle that. And I think it's a quick way to set up the real-time app without knowing too much. You have to set up too much about the JavaScript. And this one has really on Hex. You can, oh my God, where my mouse? Sorry. Yeah. Oh. Change. Have to switch.
Oh yes. So we have alt.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. So this is a Hex document. You can read all the things for this. They have the reassemble what you need to set up for your live view. Like this is a lot of information. I just try to got what I really need to do. So I'm trying to present here what you have to do to set up application. So in this Hex doc, you can read a lot of things related to live view, related to Phoenix, assemble, anything they write very detailed here. So assemble as well, and a lot of things. You can just simply search the Phoenix LiveView on Google, then it's will link you to this page at the first research search. Yeah. Okay, and LiveView rating is that it has the mixed start support. The mixed start is similar like the CLI. We use CLI in the Angular example to generate a component. So in Elixir, we have the mixed stack. It's similar like CLI that you can generate all of the project or only the component of thing you want to do. And like that, it has the Hex document for the mixed stack. You can go to that to search for the Phoenix mixed stack. Yep. Yes. Okay. Just to start the new weathers, I run with the latest version of Erlang. So you must to install with the Elixir version 4.14.2, Phoenix 1.6.15, and LiveView is 0.1.17.12. And you can create your manually, like you create the folder, you have the mix file, you install the OTB, you install the Elixir, then just view and combine and run. But to make it easy, we can use mixstat. So symbol like mix PHH is, I think, the Phoenix.new, and the part of your project and thing here. So I create the project called Crazy Weather Demo. It's crazy because you can see how it's crazy later. After you run this, we will have whole of the project here. It render a lot of things for you, like it ignore, everything needed to start the server. And then we need to install the dev guest like Phoenix, like the library dash. So we use the mix dev guest to pull all of things in the Git and compile that. Pull thing there, and we can use the mix combine to combine all of the library. But if you use the mix BAH server, it will compile and then start the server for you. Yeah, it's simple. So now I go through project structure to help everyone understand the folder in when we generate from the mix task. So we have access. If you cannot see it, so the access, it keep all of the things related to front end, like JavaScript, CSS, images that you to render the thing on UI. Next is the library. If you create this with I create this project with the crazy weather demo. So the crazy weather demo will contain all of the logic, the model. So it's the LiveView built on the idea of the MVC, like model view controller. So with this folder, we define all of things related to model, all things related to database connection in this folder. And the important folder is that underscore web, when we have the Phoenix endpoint, router, components, controller, HTML, template, everything required to run it. And we have the RIF there. Do you have anyone know what the RIF stand for? Private? I tried to search that in internet, but the J Valley, right? The one who created the Elixir, he just mentioned like this is used for a long time, so they just use that. So I don't know the RIF is the private or the privilege. I don't know. Yeah. So we have the RIF folder. This folder usually used to load all of the access. It is like the view, because if you already run with something like React front end with React Angular, we need to, if we run with the ES, example like ES 2017, we need the tool to compile that and generate the JavaScript from TypeScript. So all of the things combined in the access will go to the RIF folder, and when you start the server will just read from the RIF, but it did the server reading, like the view folder, or we need to do implement it asset folder. In next is test folder to keep all of the test case in your system. When I development example with the backend side, I write a lot of test case. This is it become my I need to do that. So I usually pay a lot of attention to how to testing the API things, and Phoenix have the supporting test helper too, so that we can very easy like what we go in with the REST API, and then we have the mock library when we can mock anything, example like how database return data. So it's very easy. And But in this present, I don't mention about the test. I don't have time on that. So just move on to all the things related to set up the web. Final a configuration. Um, we have a lot of configuration environment, like we have the production, like we have dev, and we have test environment, and we have the runtime environment as well. And the configuration is very important when you deploy the applications, like based on the config and it in the production, it will generate all of the parameters needed for your project example, like IP, like your Prog that you will run for the Phoenix. Yeah, I'm not mentioning this as well in this presentation, but just overview for the config folder. And the important file is mix.ess. It will mapping like similar like the package.json. The first thing you have to do in your project is you need a package.json and to install and set up. And here in the Elixir, you need a mix.ess. Yeah, you can find the detail in this link. They mention everything for the directory structures for you to understand what need to do with it. Okay, so move on. I will present to related to the server-side overview. What module important? So you see here we have the important module equal endpoint. It's the endpoint, but actually it is a start point anything because you will define a lot of things in the endpoint related to loading the private static, like when you run the server, when it will load all of the JS, all of the forms or the CSS style there, so it will define in the endpoint. And one thing is this will have the setup also the socket that you need in your project. It's very simple, like we need just to set up the module that handle the WebSocket, and then we define it in this like the macro. And the next important thing is router. I know I pronounced it correctly. It is router. So this one is like the thing that you dispatch your request to the controller or to the live view. Depend on the example, I set up with the flash home at the URL that. Then the router will know when you receive the home, it will using the pattern matching, and it will find the controller or it will find the live view will handle for that request. And the router had important thing like it will define the root HTML. The root HTML, you can consider it like the index.html. Whenever you load, you want to display file in the Chrome, it usually look up for the index.html. So the root.html, it have the similar like that when you define the first part of your HTML with the header, with the footer, the body here. So it's included in the root. So next I will mention related to the thing of the router can include. First we have the non-live view. Can you see this? Okay, sorry, it is small. Okay, so with the non-live view, we just assemble. I want to get the page control, the index, the first root path from my server for web. Then I define this in the router, and router will try to find the page controller, this one, and then this page controller is like manage this request. It will include all of the view we needed, and then view will be in app.html will be included in the root, and then we have display. Display is you can understand the non-live view like the static web page, which we don't manage anything on that. It's more like display just showing. Let I start that. Sorry, I will start my server. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So this is the non-live view page, just showing all of the static thing with the link, anything for that. Nothing live or real time here. Yeah. Okay. Back to this. Oh, I think it would be easy like here. So um, and this is the part related to live view. Um, can I do this? Okay. So with the live view, this just symbol I define like home index, and then you define your live view file with the Elixir and the template for that. After this, we have this page. I will show this. Yeah, flash home. Yeah. So after this is the example that I rendered today. So this, if you check to the weather, is quite crazy because I fact that I set up the fact service that it return the random images, random degrees or display, so it will change like 10 seconds. It will change, and but the time here is correct. Manus, can you confirm this correct in Stockholm? Yeah. So with the time is correct, but with the weather is crazy. Okay. Yeah. So back to my slide. Continue with next one. So how to create the live view home. That so you just define the index.es, index anything a name here like home.ex, home.html, and in index you need to use the Phoenix LiveView, and you have to define two callback: important mount with 3 parameter and render. Mount is used to like when the socket first starting, it will load your live view. So what you need to do when your live view is loading, like you need to supply some service. You need to set up some initial value. Example, in my case, I will need to set up example like location in Ho Chi Minh City. It's the first value. So you have to define it in a mount. And for render, if you do not define the HTML, you have to define the render function in the live view file. And we have another thing with handle info, handle cache, handle call. This one is used in the Erlang to manage the process when the message comes, when it's what we handle when that. So when the message comes from the Elixir process, it will handle by three functions. And when the message comes from the user, example like they click the button, they submit the form. So the handle event will handle that. It will receive the input from user and the message from that. Handle param, I don't use that, so you can take it later because this one is just optional. The terminate is used before the live view is terminated. What you will do, like you will unsubscribe some service, or you will do anything related to the another processes. So you will do that in the terminate before the live view is queued. Yeah, so we can use the mix that as well to generate the live view, and add that into the router. Yeah. So this is my index. Where is this? Home. Yeah, I changed the name to home. It's not index, it's home now. So you see, you need to do is define the model is based on this name part, and you need to use the crazy weather demo web live view. Actually, it's the wrapper for the Phoenix LiveViews. Instead of import the Phoenix LiveView, We have the macro which define all of things we need for LiveView, so we just use it. And this is the function I need to write them out with 3 parameters. The params, the first param goes in here, the section and socket, but the important part is the socket. You need to update the socket and return the socket after you finish all the things in this. So you must return OK with the socket. So in this, I set up the message slide send tick in 1 second. I set up the current time zone in Ho Chi Minh City, and I assign something related to how I set up the daytime. Like I using the timer X in the Elixir to return the daytime based on the time zone. So I need to define the EANATZ. You see the time zone code for each environment. So it's for Ho Chi Minh City, our Asia Ho Chi Minh. For Vietnam is Ho Chi Minh, and Stockholm is this one. Yeah, that's all for now. I don't need to define the render because I have HTML template here. With the HTML templates, it's either HTML, but it injects Phoenix attribute there, so that we can set up the value that we got from the controller here. Example, I set the time zone list. I can inject the time zone list in here with using the add time zones. So in home, I have the variable called time zone. I assign it to the socket, and the socket will map it to the add time zones. So I use the time zone to render all 3 radio buttons on the screen for select the different location. Yeah, so this is a live view. Okay. So next things is components. If you implement with the Angular, it have the components, and we can include the components in every component. So we have 2 types of component here in the LiveView. One is it's called reusable function components. So this one don't have any state, it's stateless. So you can use that to like render the special test or something, and it's just you to display the data. No no state management, like when it changes, it have to notify anything to parent. No, it just render data, that's all. So I build up a reusable function here for the temperature. So the temperature only have the text and the degree. I set up the example here, so but I can show you it's live. Yeah. Where is it? Oh my God! Temperature. Yes, it's here. So simple. Just the temperature with the assign, and then you define the HTML template, and you define the template value here. So in the live view, you will include that in. No, I include that in the weather component. Yeah. So to include the template, just define the template the function you define will become the name here, like the tag here, like temperature, and then you set the weather with the min and max here. It will render for you 2 icons on that for the min and max temperature. I hope it's you can easy to understand. If not, contact me. Okay. So and next one is light component. Light component is like it have the stateful. It have the stateful, like example, you have the page with a lot of item on that, like the shopping item, and each item you can define the live component to manage that item. So when you add the item, that's live component will manage that. You don't have to manage that from the live view. So to use the live components, we have to use the Phoenix Live components, and we define all of the required callbacks like mount, render, reload, update, and handle events. Handle event is when you try to handle your event by yourself. Like when you click on the button, instead send message to the home the home or the live view. You can manage that in this component. This will manage the thing on that. Next I will talk about the state when we manage between the live view and live components. They are this. So we have two direction, like from view to component. How we example, like when we change the view, how we notify that to components, like it need to update. So we use the send update function because the live component and live view go with the same process. So it means we can use the PID, the current process ID, to send message to itself from the components. Or another part is from the component to view, like when the component is changed, it wants to notify something to the view, like the parent one, like I update this, please update all the total calculation something. So this is come from component to view, like child to the parent. We can use the Phoenix pub sub to supply and broadcast the change from the child to parent. Yeah. So to use the live view, you must define the module and the ID because it's a stateless, it's a stateful, so it must have the ID. The view, the home view will use on the ID to know which one it will send message when it changes. Okay. This is my example to when we I define the weather here, and I have defined the weather components. This is the live components, and I have included that into the home index. I set up, so I have the event here, like in I will change the temperature in 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, so when the weather service send message like refresh the weather, it will send to the parent one, either live view, and live view will send update to its component, either UI, either thing that you show for the weather, to update the temperature and the icons on that. So it will use the send update function with the first component name, the component module, like weather component, the ID of that, and the data we want to send it. So this in weather, yeah, so we can have something like this. I refresh, like the WebSocket is standing here, and it receives the message from the weather service to refresh the weather. Then it will send message to the weather component to update that. And this is the weather components. It's just have the icons and the max and min temperature. It will update that, so you can see it's in this. Like in 10 seconds, the time will change, so it will render another temperature, like icon image here. You see, in every 10 seconds I set up. Yep. So this is the way that the parents, the home, send message to each component. You can consider the child component to update thing. So next one is another way, like we send message from child to parent, like from the live component to the live view. I using this is the component I set up is the time zone selected. When we change the time zone, we want to render the other thing on the UI, like the temperature, like the clock. So the time zone will be the live components, and it will handle the click action here. And when the user click on click actions, it will send message to its own live view, and then live view live component, sorry, it will send message to the time zone component, and then time zone component will notify to its parent that I change the time zone. Please update the weather, the clock for that. So this one, it comes from the child to parent. Detail for this. We have menu. Yep. I set up the menu like time zone here. This is the syntax that support for the hex file that you can go through all the list of the time zone, render that with the radio button. You can more detail when you check with the hex doc for the HTML template. Hex, yeah, this is render. So this is the event. When I change, I click on the radio button, and then this one will handle this event, and it will broadcast a message like on time zone change. And in the home, we supply this message, so we will show it. So we will notify the time zone change, and we receive that. We update everything for it. So this one is like from child to parent notification. Move on. That's the other the previous slide I mentioned related to server side. So we back to the clients a little bit because we need we build a web page, so we need to know. Sometimes we have to work with JavaScript, CSS, and things for that. So I just mentioned related the folder access. It's define the JavaScript image from the CSS style, and Phoenix use the ES build. ES build is similar like the tool if you already use like Webpack, or a tool that we use to compile the TypeScript or the different ES model to the native JavaScript that browser can understand. So with Elixir, it uses the AX build. So you can check this in the configuration file. It will try to compile the JS in asset folder into the RIP folder. So as I mentioned before, the RIP folder is the build folder which the actually server will read from, not the asset folder. So it contains all of the native JavaScript that the browser can read. So you don't need to pay attention to RIP. You just build your JavaScript with the asset folder, and then it will generate it for you with the Phoenix command. So here this is the asset folder. The main file here, app.js. It's using the new syntax, so you can use import to import the file from that. And this one, this file is very important because it will set up the socket from the client to server. We don't need to define this. When we render when we run the mixstat, it will generate this file for us. So it already have the live socket connection here. Yeah. Let's show a little for the socket. If you check this network, yeah, we go to what else? Oh, I need that. Yeah, work as. Oh my God, work is. Needs to repass. Yeah. Okay. So from here we can check the WebSockets set up between LiveView run. It will return the data in, I think, in few seconds for what they changed. Example, I change this, and you see that it will render what value change here, and you can track all the things you change with this one. Is meant is all the WebSocket message between the client, the client and the server. Yeah, it's in this one. Okay. Back to this. With the client, you can use the package.json, and you require the package.json, and then you can using npm or yard to install the package for that. So in this example, yeah, this is just the old thing that I mentioned before with the app. With the app, we include that into the root.html. So when we start running, it will load the app at the first written that. This one is like index.html for all the apps. So when it's loading, it will load the app file. It's also support the hooks between client server, but I not have time change to using the hook, so just mention it here. Mention that is about this, and go. I will present something that we can use with the JavaScript in this. Like I render the analog. So I get the original JavaScript and HTML from the internet for quick. I mentioned the link here, and then I update that to make it work with the Phoenix. And so too easy to view, go to this one. I have the components called analog. Yes, this one will render the date, time, the hand, minute, second, the hour hand, minute hand, second hand, and render that in each seconds. Yeah, this function just copy from the internet, so for quick. But I have to change them from the HTML, the JavaScript to the Elixir with using the hex template here. Then how to update that when we change the time zone. When we change the time zone, we will have to change the daytime here as well. Like I like this, I got another, I change this to 1. So to do that I don't do that with the server side, I will do that with the client side. So with the client side, I go to, I create the analog JavaScript. Then I using the moment time zone is either dependency the package we usually use we use that in the Angular to render the date to get the daytime with different time zone. So I'm using that by running npm install. So if after I run npm install, I will have this in the package.json, the moment and the moment time zone. After that, I can import this moment into the JavaScript. I write this function here, and I will use the DOM function like document get element by ID, which one I will try to get the current selected time zone. After that, I will use this function to convert the current daytime, and then the clock will update with the new time. Yep. Yeah. You can find a lot of examples for this clock in the internet. So, yeah. So after that, we have this clock run with different time zones when we change. Yep. Things. Yeah, I mentioned this. Okay, done. I have the record here in case I cannot run my application in this laptop. So this one is just the record, what we saw, thing we did on that, like this. So I think I present to you all of these steps when I'm running. So you just record if you want to watch later. Okay. Nothing. So I think another thing I want to share is the dashboard components. When you install the LiveView, it already have the example plugin. That's quite good. That's it here. When you click on the live dashboard, yeah, they build a lot of things related to this. Like uh, this live dashboard will check all things related to your server, like Prog using, process running thing, and the metrics and request log, a lot of things. So I check the components. They use the Webpack and the live view, live thing, and a lot of things to build. So if you interested in the live view, you can clone this live dashboard from the hub, and then you can go around with this. So it's quite cool. Yeah, they build a lot of things for this. Yeah. So I think that's all. Thank you. Oh my God.
Thank you very much, Jung. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, good. You recovered from the audio disaster.
Okay.
Yes.
So just question, do you have any question with my presentation? Okay. Không có mic.
Is it on? Oh yeah.
It's on.
Right. Well, not really a question, but I have to say the live dashboard, like I use LiveView, like right now with my project, but we never use that, but that looks really cool. That's really nice for like tracking, especially atoms.
Yeah.
Because atoms is one thing in Erlang and Elixir. It's not garbage collect automatically if you, and you can like do convert string to atom, and if you do that in a, you know, not control way, it will break your system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Atom is dangerous.
Atom is dangerous.
Yes.
But
Hear
it's
that,
cool.
people. Stay away from atoms.
Stay away from atoms. No,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I
Thank
don't
you.
have any further questions. No more questions here.
Okay.
Again, thank you very much
Yeah,
for your
thank you.
presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, well, we have one more question. Sorry. Yes.
Sorry, but as you were speaking, sorry if I misheard, but I was wondering, when you set up socket, right, with Phoenix Live, is the whole HTML, HTML page got dumped back to the client, or is it you, whenever there's a change, you send a message to update part of the components?
Yeah. So the question was like, no, I don't.
Are we just send back the whole HTML page? Or
No. I think it's for the WebSocket. Oh,
We plug you in again. Hopefully it will work.
what?
Let's see.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God.
sorry, really clear.
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll
You
find
can
out the
see
answer.
we have the WebSocket. Let's reload it. Yeah, this is the data that's communication between WebSocket. The WebSocket will send, it's a lot of messages, so I just get one here. So this is the data it returned from the WebSocket with the change.
Only like or you render the HTML from server side to client, you serve the data.
Yeah, with the live components, and when we just change the WebSocket, will detect that you change what field here, and then it just update the HTML is that data. It not update whole. Yeah. Yeah. Real time is just update is the field that you set up with the change data, and the Phoenix socket handle that. We don't. Yeah.
When you see the clock hand, for example, it is on client side. But for example, if you in my demo, for example, all of it is render server side and it's just replaced with like if you show the HTML.ex when you inject the chỉ một cái hex á, the hex. So if you like, for example, when Zoom use like enum and inject like use Elixir code for the data, that one is rendered from the server side. Like one of the hex HTML.hex or x.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of the component where I remember one that you have like enum
Component. The ID.
maybe
Yeah.
yeah. So for example, the add temperature there, for example, that one is rendered from server side in Elixir with the data from Elixir, and it's just replaced.
Yeah. Like when in the LiveView, when you change the socket, example in here, we have the handle info. When I tick, I update whole of the WebSocket, and then it happens like it will load all page. But if I just send update in one component there, so WebSocket will detect and just send back the data to the HTML to render that data. But when I change whole of the socket environment variable here, it will re-render the page. Okay. So the important line we meant is the socket here. The Phoenix do all the things related to detect changes. So, and we can have the directive in the Phoenix that we can tell the socket do not update this. We have something like bas.update, and then we equal that value with ignore. So it will ignore updated HTML. It will update the other thing, not this one, when changed. Let's search for this. So this requires like you can search on hex and harvest to turn the result of that. Yes, it's the DOM batching and temporary assign. You can read more detail on this page. It mentions related things related to how DOM batching and how the temporary assign value when we assign the value to the socket. And we can have the BAH update with you set up ignore. So we ignore this tag to when the change comes. I use this one with another project, but I cannot share this in this presentation because this is the customer circle, so cannot send that. But I use this one to ignore change when the example like real time come. I don't want to change this, like the color or anything on that. I just change the data in the read. So I set up the color ignore, so it will not update the color. It just update the date, the value in the read, the data and that. Yeah. Sorry, your question. Yeah.
Which would be the default probably what you would do right now, and choosing Phoenix LiveView, what would you say is the sweet spot? So for which kind of applications is Phoenix LiveView better suited than
Yeah, I have not yet time change to work with React. Just one with the very simple project. I use mostly work with Angular. So with Angular, it's quite take time for us to set up WebSocket. It's more like we have the chest, and then we have to set up the WebSocket in the front end, and then we So we just updating in the server side for the component, the data we want to change. And the Phoenix LiveView socket will handle that, and it just return back the data. So it's simple like this. I run this, and then I stop. Let I stop the server. Yeah. Let I stop it. Yeah. And we go back to this one. You see? Oh, sorry. Oh my. You can see the error message here. It will try to communication with WebSocket, but the page still stand here. And then you back to here and start the server again. It will reconnection with this one. So we don't do that. The Phoenix socket will do that, and we just use that in include that in the JavaScript. Yep. So, and I think the thing like we can include the React in the exec folder. Like we use the package.json, you can use some React library. I not yet try with that because we have the thing like the issue that we cannot move to use the live view because we use a lot of Angular library. Example like the AgRead. We use that to render the table, to render the user lead item here. It supports a lot of things like it can sorting, it can filter on that read, but I don't know like with the live view how we can inject that into the live view project and how we use that in the front end, because with the Angular it have its own view, its controller, anything on that to include AgRead and render that. But with this, I think they can use, I remember like they can use React with that, so I think maybe with Angular we can use that, but you know the Angular framework is quite big. Yeah. So that's it. I think the live view is young, so it took like 3 years. There are more things will be need to improvements and changes. So yeah, I hope. Okay. Any question? Oh, sorry, your question. Do I answer your question? No.
Actually, one more.
Okay.
Because I was wondering. Like, since I saw you use Moment, so it, Moment.js. So it's a combination of different libraries from npm. Pure JavaScript, and so will there be a negative if you stream all those library through the socket? So if that's the case, then we cannot use the browser cache for that. Right. Because you stream all the library through the WebSocket, then the
I think it's a lot that we saw in here. Yeah, in this. Sorry. It use the EXBuild. The EXBuild will bundle all of the things related to the front end. So when you load display, I think Moment will be included in the bundle that is already in the front end. So the socket, I think it not pay attention to that. It just detect the chain related data and re-render the thing that related to that. It's all the HTML thing that. For the moments, it is included in the bundle. Not yes about this. Yeah, I don't know where it's keep the bundle. Yeah. Yeah, it's already bundled in the DSO when you open the file. When I use the Angular, it will compile all the things into the main.js. And into the main.js, I also see the Moment anything library in there. Not sorry, the first time I hear question, I not yet check with that where it keep this. Maybe it's already logged that into the browser, into that you use that like thing in this shocks.
Common concept, and then I have one also with NodeJS. It's the framework view and include everything in one.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
The real time. So I think it's just treat the data only. I just
Yeah, okay. Yeah, not yet use React before, so I just use Angular. So I think the similar like that. Just we bundle everything in the file, and then we just deploy that, and this will run with that file. So that already have the minimized structure that it's try to make it small as possible, so it will loading quicker in there for the JavaScript. Yeah. Yeah. Do you understand? I answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with that, we are done for tonight. So thank you and goodbye.